It's great to be back at the watermelon feed this year. My wife Laura's with me. She's over at the playground chasing two happy little blonde-headed boys across the equipment. This is probably their favorite campaign event of this whole cycle. They've been all over that jungle gym. But my wife Laura and I live in Mount Vernon. I grew up in Pierce City before that. And in Mount Vernon, Laura and I, we have been there married for 11 years. We're small business owners. We both work other jobs. But about 8 or 10 years ago, working our jobs and doing what we do, we became frustrated. I became very frustrated as a tax-paying Missourian that our state was leading our nation in all the wrong directions. We were #1 in job losses, bankruptcy filings, meth production. We were about $1 billion short in our budget in a good economy. The debate about life was whether or not you could deliver most of a baby, mutilate that baby, and call that a surgical procedure. And our Second Amendment rights were not secure. We decided being frustrated was not enough. We decided that as a family, if we were going to be worthy of what made our way of life so great, we needed to fight to save it. So we decided then together that I would run for the Missouri legislature, and I have been able to work there in the Missouri House and in the Missouri Senate for the last 8 years, serving in leadership in both chambers. And we've been able to bring a conservative revolution in this state that shows a little differently than we saw in Washington, than when conservative people make conservative promises and then keep those promises. We can see great conservative changes happen in our state. We went from being the #1 job loser in America to Missouri being one of the handful of job creation leaders. We went from over $1 billion short in our budget to being about $800 million to the surplus before this recession hit us. We are now one of the most pro-life states in the nation. I wrote and helped write and pass the Missouri Stop Meth Act, which brought our meth crimes down 53%. And I wrote and passed with Marilyn Russman the Castle Doctrine, which says now if someone breaks into your house, you don't have to wait for them to attack you or your spouse or your kids before you stop them dead in your tracks. Missouri is better than it was a few years ago. And my wife and I are proud of the changes we've been able to make, and we were looking to go in a different direction with our lives and get back to the private sector that we had studied for. But then we saw the crossroads that our nation faces. I think 234 years ago, God brought together a group of brave and brilliant men to build an experiment. That experiment required them to risk everything they had, their lives, their fortunes, their reputations, their families, to create a better way of life for their neighbors. They risked it all to build for the first time in the history of the world a place where the people get to send our spokespersons to put our values in the rules that we live by. If you watch what the administration is doing today, they're trying to silence our voices and make us the first generation of Americans who don't get heard. We've got to stand up and fight against that for our kids and every generation that comes after us, or we're not worthy to enjoy the blessings that our founders risked everything to create for us. Thank you. I appreciate your vote.